Good morning, everyone. I welcome you not just to a new morning, but to a new year. I do hope that those of you who do have that practice have made your resolutions, have stated for yourself the person you intend to become during the course of this year. And from this moment forward, we can just start that process. This morning, before turning it over to our excellent speakers, I would like to take a moment to perhaps correct something that was an oversight on my part yesterday. Probably all of you who have been coming to this convention for many years are much aware that at the opening there is an invocation that is necessarily pronounced according to our traditions, an invocation for the blessings of the great ones. Obviously, our time together here is always uplifting. It's always something that makes an impression on one and all of us for the sense of community, for the example of the possibility of brotherhood that such a time like this presents for each of us. But more than that, this invocation is intended to not just recognize, but to invite the participation of those great ones through our openness in a conscious manner to their presence and to the fact that this society solely exists in order to accomplish the work that they have envisioned. So what I would ask you to do at this time is to rise, please. May those who are the embodiments of love immortal bless with their help and guidance this society founded to do their work. May they inspire it with their wisdom, strengthen it with their power, energize it with their activity. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom, O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is therefore one with every other. Thank you.
Esteemed President, brothers and sisters here in person and connected through the internet, it is an immense privilege to us start this brand new year in this blessed place. And so I'm very happy to introduce you the first session of our work today that starts with two short lectures. The first speaker, Dr. Deepa Padhi, is the International Vice President of the Theosophical Society. She will talk on truth, goodness, and beauty. Dr. Deepa Padhi is a retired professor of philosophy from Bhubaneswar, Odisha. She has written a book on the ethical philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita and Recently, she edited and published a compilation of articles on women's issues entitled Yes, She Can. She also writes articles on social, philosophical, theosophical, and spiritual issues for magazines and journals. Dr. Padhi joined the Theosophical Society in 1994 and is presently the secretary of the Deepa Lodge, Bhubaneswar. She joined the Theosophical Order of Service in 2006 and became the secretary of the Mahabharat Lodge, Odisha region, its president in 2010, and in 2016 she became the president of the TOS Odisha. In 2013, she was invited to speak on transformational practices at the Summer National Convention of the TS in America. While there, she attended the International Conference of the TOS. In 1916, she organized a conference on theosophical education that involved teachers and administrators from theosophical schools across India. The meeting took place in Bhubaneswar and was facilitated by Vicente Aochin Jr., director of the Golden Link Theosophical College in the Philippines. Dr. Padhi believes in practical theosophy, which to her is spiritual self-transformation and service. And so, I have the pleasure to invite her to speak.
Thanks, Patrizia. Good morning, esteemed President Tim Boyd, Mrs. Lily Boyd, Chairperson of the session, Patrizia, co-speaker, Abraham Oron, brothers and sisters around the world. I wish you and your families a joyous, peaceful, and meaningful New Year 2019. This morning, I'm going to share some of my thoughts with you on the topic truth, goodness, and beauty. Truth, goodness, and beauty, which constitute the Divine Trinity, have twin dimensions, transcendental and empirical. Traditionally, truth, goodness, and beauty are regarded as transcendental as they are the responses to the fundamental quest, who am I? In Kena Upanishad, it is said, what is that which cannot be seen by the eyes, but by which the eyes can see? What is that which cannot be heard, but by which the ears can hear? What is that which is not breathed by breath, but by which breath breathes? The answer to all these questions is one, that is consciousness. I am the consciousness, or the self, or Atman. The individual consciousness is not different from the universal consciousness, which is the source of everything, of all manifestations, but itself unmanifest. Therefore, it cannot be known by the senses, the mind, or the intellect. One needs to go deep within to experience it, and the experience is truth, goodness, and beauty. The quest for truth is indeed the quest for self-knowledge or Atma-jnana, and self-knowledge or Atma-jnana is nothing but Brahma-jnana, or the knowledge of the ultimate reality. Theosophy is the divine wisdom or Atma-vidya. Dr. Rani Besant says, the higher self or our true self is the divine consciousness inside ourself. The key message of Theosophy, which is also conveyed by the Upanishads, is that the life or consciousness is one unfragmented, undivided whole. Behind all these names and forms in the outer world, there is only one consciousness. It is the limited, imperfect perception of the individual that makes one perceive all things as different and separate from everything else. He who realizes this oneness experiences the truth, goodness, and beauty as his own nature. They are interconnected. In the words of a mystic, Sat Chit Ananda, the ultimate reality, is a goal to be pursued in meditation. Satyam Shivam Sundaram, truth, goodness, and beauty are the external manifestations of the same ultimate reality that we can connect with the world of creation, unquote. Truth is the experience of wholeness, both this, the manifest, and that, the unmanifest. Isha Upanishad. What is that which is not, and this is whole? From the whole arises. If this whole is taken out of that whole, what remains is also the whole. This truth, in its absolute sense, was expressed by the ancient seers in a sacred mystic formula, Aham Brahmosmi, I am the whole, the one. This unity, it represents the fusion of the unseen and the seen, the subjective and the objective principles. It doesn't allow any duality or plurality, chaos or disorder within it. The truth within is the truth without. To know the truth is to know oneself. Albert Einstein, sharing his wishes with his close friends, had said that if there is another life, I would not like to be a scientist or a physicist again. This has been a sheer wastage. I have known so much, but I know nothing about myself. What is the use of all this knowledge? My inner world remains dark, and I have been watching far away stars and the galaxies and the nebulas, and I have not looked at myself, unquote. As a scientist, he wanted to know the truth through experiment and observation of matter in the outer world. But existence is not matter only. Matter and non-matter, gross and subtle, visible and invisible are parts of one existence, the whole, the truth. Truth is Satyam in Sanskrit, which is derived from the root Sat, meaning pure existence or isness. It is that which is ever present, timeless. Truth is unchanging, even though our beliefs about truth changes. The opposite of Sat is Asat or untruth, which implies non-existence, that which never existed, like sky flower or hare's horn. There is another category coined by Sankaracharya, that is mithya or illusion, meaning neither absolutely sat or true, nor totally asat or untrue, neither ever existent nor non-existent. This mithya or illusion is the status of the fragmented and impermanent world. But truth is one and ever existent. Therefore, the ultimate reality is defined as the truth. Until the truth is realized, illusion or appearance is mistaken for the truth, unreal for the real, and not self as the self. Once, King Janaka saw himself as a beggar in his dream who was dying of hunger. When woke up, he asked his wise men in his court, who is the real Janaka, the beggar or the king, as both seemed very real when experienced. Sage Astabakra, who was in the court at that time, said, neither the beggar nor the king was real, as each was contradicted by the other. That which remained ever present is real, meaning the self, the consciousness. Truth is not realized by mere belief, but through inner transformation and practice of unitive living. Truth can only be experienced by a mind like that of a child, simple, innocent, conscious, alert, a tabula rasa, a clean slate. J. Krishnamurti once explained that simplicity comes into being only when the self is not, when the mind is not caught in speculations, conclusions, beliefs, ideation. Such a mind can find truth, can receive that which is immeasurable, which is unnameable, unquote. In a similar tone, Radha Vanier said, truth is accessible to the pure heart. An open mind, not to minds seeking safety in the known, either in the form of religious dogma or scientific theory, unquote. Truth cannot be expressed in language, nor can it be known through ordinary mind. It is only to be experienced. In the words of Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, no one can know the truth without being the truth, unquote. The Jaina doctrine of Anekantavad or non-absolutism believes that a thing has infinite aspects, and every viewpoint, every aspect regarding a thing is partial. It suggests, therefore, that the awareness of the whole or totality is not a point of view, but a different way of being aware or experiencing. The motto of Theosophical Society is expressed as, there is no religion higher than truth. The truth encompasses everything. Religions are many, but truth is one. The peripheral are mistaken for the core. Truth is the essence of all religions. therefore above all religions. Truth is to be experienced while religion is to be lived. The class of religious opinions and ideologies produces intolerance, fanaticism, hatred, and ill feelings, causing divisions among people. Radha Vaniya states, if religion encouraged men to seek the truth instead of telling them what to believe, the world would be a more peaceful place, for tolerance accompanies the desire to find out what is true. Unquote. If truth is the goal, religion is the path towards it. When truth is realized as the whole or oneness, love overflows to embrace all. Those who experience the truth as the whole can never see the world with an utilitarian eye of the materialists, viewing others as objects to be used or enjoyed. To them, everything is sacred and should be treated with love, respect, and sympathy. They are incapable of harming others, even animals and plants, as they feel all creatures as parts of themselves. They recognize and respect the inherent values of all existence, animate as well as inanimate. This is the virtue of goodness. Goodness is well-being, peace, love, and cooperative action, which is essential for the harmonious coexistence of all beings, sentience and insentience. The Bhagavad Gita says, a yogi who feels one with every other works for the welfare of the whole world. Right actions happen through him, and right action is that which is appropriate and good for the whole. In Katha Upanishad, there is the mention of prayer, that is pleasant, and Shreya, that is ultimate good. Prayer is that which is agreeable to our ego, the outer personality, and is short-lived. Whereas Shreya refers to the good that is beneficial for the soul, for ourselves. Shreya is good which has no equal, no superior. It is the summum bonum, the highest good. Pleasure leads us around the wheel of karma in the manifested world. On the other hand, Shreya, or goodness, leads beyond the wheel of karma into the higher consciousness and becomes one with the truth. Truth is good and good is truth. The flow of life is spontaneously towards the good. The man who experiences the truth starts living the truth, and this living the truth is nothing but goodness. In Sanskrit, it is called Shivam. In the first volume of the Letters from the Masters of the Wisdom, it is written, and I quote, "The first object of the Theosophical Society is philanthropy, not for himself, but for the world he lives," unquote. In the widest sense, the word philanthropy means love for all. Radha Vaniya defines the word as a stable and integral element of one's consciousness, unquote. It is an experience of the value of all living beings, a comprehension of the sanctity of life. Madame Blavatsky makes the declaration that true theosophy is altruism. It is the practice of selfless service and concern for others. If philanthropy is love for others, altruism is selfless service to others. Love leads to selfless service. Goodness embraces both. Beauty, or Sundaram in Sanskrit, is the flowering of consciousness of the man who has experienced truth, the oneness, and starts living the truth as goodness. The saying is, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, but the greatest beauty lies in experiencing the one, the whole, the truth. It is only the ignorance and narrowness of our perception that make a division into ugliness and beauty. Being detached from the ego and self-interest, when one sees, he can have a true vision of beauty that is everywhere. Then only one can realize that there is nothing called ugliness, as it has its beauty for others in the totality. In the absolute sense, beauty brings bliss with it. Pleasure obtained through mind is superior to that gained by the senses. Intellectual pleasure is qualitatively and quantitatively higher than the happiness gained through the mind. But bliss is experienced not through the senses or mind or intellect, but along with the awareness of the one, the whole. Therefore, it is beyond verbal description and is called Anandam in Sanskrit. In Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned as Sukham Atyantikam, that is joy unlimited. Though as goals they are transcendental, these virtues are manifested in our beings, actions, and our relationship with the outer world. The Encyclopedia Britannica acknowledges the significance of this trio and states, truth, goodness, and beauty form a triad of terms which have been discussed together throughout the tradition of Western thought. They have been called transcendent on the ground that everything which is in some measure or manner subject to denomination as true or false, good or evil, beautiful or ugly. The mission statement of the Theosophical Society, declared in 2018, is based on these three values. It goes like this: to serve humanity by cultivating an ever-deepening understanding and realization of the ageless wisdom, spiritual self-transformation, and the unity of all life. Three expressions in the statement, such as unity of all life, service to humanity, and understanding and realization, correspond to the triad truth, goodness, and beauty. Unity of living is the manifestation of truth. Unity, as President Tim Boyd states, and I quote, is the basis of all understanding, spirituality, and even physical well-being. Even at the level of our personality, there is no strength where unity is absent. In human relations, the absence of unity expresses itself as fragmentation, weakness, and illness, unquote. Service that involves loving care, compassionate and selfless activity takes one towards goodness. And the experience of beauty is the necessary outcome of the understanding and realization of the unity of life. Beauty lies in oneness, wholeness, and harmony. These three values, as contained in the mission statement, can serve as constant guide for self-transformation. This trinity can also be used as methods in our education system. Students at an early age should be encouraged to appreciate the truth, that is, to think in terms of totality or whole. When one tries to realize the whole, one's perception becomes holistic. This involves perceiving the whole of a situation or a thing or a person that includes the visible and invisible, known and unknown parts. When we are unable to see or understand the whole, we make judgments on the basis of incomplete and distorted perceptions. Many times in our life, we come across such situations when we pass wrong judgments on a person or an event, but regret later when we come to know the whole story. The students from an early age should learn the meaning of goodness. That essentially refers to a positive relationship with others, human and non-human. It implies respect for all living beings. That includes ahimsa or non-violence, as no one has the right to harm others. They should be made to realize that at this point of time, if humanity has to survive, it should practice ahimsa, and that would lead to oneness. They should be taught to be compassionate and altruistic in their behavior towards others, and should be encouraged to experience joy and love while serving others selflessly. Students should be guided and motivated to work as volunteers in orphanages, old age homes, hospitals, at least once a week, which would give them an exposure to the darker aspect of life, which is also a part of life, as a whole. They should be encouraged to see beauty in everything. Beauty is orderliness, which they need to learn in the school as a form of discipline. Beauty is harmony, that is living together in fellowship and happiness that enriches life. These three objective values are essential for transforming students as flourishing human beings. In fact, this is the purpose of establishing Adyar Theosophical Academy, ATA, as a center for transformative education, which will prepare the students from all dimensions, including emotional, social, moral, and spiritual. It is never enough to know truth, goodness, beauty only as transcendental values if they do not help us in changing our ways of perception and living. A conscious and constant effort to practice these core values in our everyday life can bring necessary transformations in the individual to experience the oneness, the whole. I would like to conclude my talk with the quotation of J. Krishnamurti. Everywhere and at all times, education has been built on value system conducive to the development of physical, intellectual, moral, and spiritual life. It activates the latest capacities of the individual, enabling him to recognize truth, goodness, and beauty. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear Sister Deepa, for offering us such inspiring words. And now, our second speaker, Brother Abraham Oron from Israel. Abraham is a university graduate in economics and political sciences, a student of theosophy since 1978, chairman of the Tel Aviv Lodge, editor of the Theosophical magazine in Hebrew, Or, which means light. And he will talk about search for truth and glimpses of beauty on the spiritual path. So I kindly invite him on the stage.
Good morning, brothers and sisters, and Happy New Year. This talk is actually a self-journey that I have done when I was asked to prepare this subject. And I would like to share with you some of my thoughts or meditations on this subject of search for truth and glimpses of beauty in the spiritual life. The essence of theosophy is the journey from the unreal to the real, and from illusion to truth. In this journey, we must meet and deal with many illusions that we have come to think of as the truth. In the study of the theosophical and other spiritual traditions, the goal of the spiritual path can be presented as the realization of our oneness with the one reality or one life, the universal principle vibrating in every atom, shining in every creature, and embracing all in oneness. Sages and mystics wrote the following statements about this universal principle. Shankaracharya writes in Vivekachudamani, there is a reality that sees everything in its light, and it is not seen. It grants intelligence to consciousness and intellect, but there can be nothing other that illuminates it. This reality overshadows the universe. It is the source of light. The universe is illuminated by its light. Rabbi Ibn Gabirol expressed his wonder about this reality in Royal Crown. Thou art one, he says, and that the majesty of thy oneness, while the wise of heart are struck dumb, for they know not what it is. Thou art one, but not like a unit to be grasped or counted, for number and change cannot reach thee. Madame Blavatsky says in The Secret Doctrine, there is but one indivisible and absolute omniscience and intelligence in the universe, and this thrills throughout every atom and infinitesimal point of the whole finite cosmos, which had no bounds and which people call space. Can we pause for a moment and consider what feeling or thoughts arise in us when we hear this sublime statement about the hidden reality or absolute intelligence? In some of us, the thought that we already know these ideas will arise. But do we really know? And there may be some among us who will immediately see that each statement tries to describe in words some aspect of truth or reality, but this is only a verbal description and not truth or reality itself. And perhaps there will be a few among us in which these ideas will raise a strong yearning for that which is beyond the mind and the barrier of words. During a moment of meditation, the following thoughts flashed into my mind. How come that this reality, which is closer to us than our breath, seems so remote and difficult to realize? The great teacher says that this essence is our true nature. So how come we are still in the illusion that we are cut off from it? They teach that it is our spiritual heart and soul, but we still do not really believe in its existence in us. Is something wrong with us? Could it be that we search for truth in the wrong place? In my quest for truth about life, self, God, etc., there was a time when I thought that I only have to find the right book or the right teacher to reveal the truth to me. Like me, there are many seekers who hope to find the final truth about life in learning, or maybe in prayers, fasting, and rituals, while others search for it in ashrams at the feet of revered teachers. Here is what the Indian Sufi poet Kabir says about the search. O servant, where are you looking for me? Look, I am neither in the temple nor in the mosque. I am not in the Kaaba or on Mount Kailasa. I am not in rituals and ceremonies, neither in yoga or celibacy. If you are a truth seeker, you can see me immediately. In a long process that includes many disappointments, we begin to realize that there is indeed no paved road to truth. And to quote Light on the Path, each man is to himself absolutely the way, the truth, and the life. But the mind still finds it hard to accept that all the countless truth seekers over thousands of years have not left us with a clearer guidance to help us in the search process. There are instructions that can be found in many traditions, but they say in different words what Light on the Path or Krishnamurti says, that is, truth is a pathless land. Let us examine some of these teachings and start with Madame Blavatsky. And I quote, "Our eyes are downcast and riveted to the earth with all its physical and grossly material manifestations. If instead of that, man proceeding on his life journey looked not heavenward, but within himself, he would soon escape from the coils of the great serpent of illusion. And if we still have doubts about as to where we should direct our search, here is a clarification by Rumi, the Sufi poet. Far away from here, after God you searched, but what you are looking for in you, have you forgotten? So why look for a treasure that you did not lose? The book, the names, the letters are in your heart. And in the words of Ken Wilber, the American philosopher, because of the fact that we are the self, he says, every search for him is not only doomed to fail, but creates the impression that we lack it. By the very act of searching it, we keep it away from us. Truth, self, and reality is hidden in the innermost dimension of the universe and all living beings. This is a treasure for which we unconsciously search in the outside world. We cannot feel whole as long as we believe it is separate from us. This separation creates in us an inner void, which we try to fill unsuccessfully with material objects. The reality which is beyond form and thought is indeed hidden within us, but it can be felt only when the mind is silent and there is awareness without thought. Every moment we can choose to be awake and accept what is, or truth, or reality as it is, be it pleasant or not, or fight reality when it does not match our expectations, and fall back to the virtual reality which our ego and thought patterns create for us. By seeking to see life situations and ourselves as they are, without the additions of mind and ego, our vision will clear up and we will be able to have more glimpses of the true and the beautiful in life around us. Beauty is not separate from the inner truth, and all beauty that we encounter around us originates in that essence which is truth, beauty, and love. Here I would like to relate an instance early in my spiritual journey in which I was lucky to have a glimpse of the hidden beauty which can be seen when the veil of illusion is lifted from one's eyes. After 2 years of regular meditation, while I was swimming in a pool, I suddenly felt a sense of lightness and joy I had never experienced before. All the time I was swimming, I felt lightness and unity with the water that carried me effortlessly, enjoying the beauty of the bubbles and the shapes formed in the water with every movement, and the dance of light on the bottom of the pool. When I finished and walked out of the pool, I felt as if a veil has been removed from my eyes. And for days and weeks, I saw beauty in everything in nature. Nature seemed radiant to me. Every leaf, flower, or tree was radiant, and the whiteness of the clouds seemed so beautiful on the deep blue background of the sky. Beauty was everywhere, in the play of wind and waves, and the joyful movement of the treetops. Gradually, I returned to my normal vision, but the memory of the experience accompanied me, and from time to time after meditation, where I experienced deep silence, the eyes would once again open up to a glimpse of the radiance and beauty emanating from the invisible dimension of reality. Every sincere search of truth involves repeated failures to set ourselves free from illusions and errors. These glimpses of beauty motivate and give us strength to continue on the journey up the steep path leading to the temple of truth in the depth of life and our consciousness. In the Hebrew Psalms, we find this beautiful passage about the qualifications for entering the temple of truth. Who shall ascend the mountain of the Lord? Who shall stand in his holy place? He that had clean hands and a pure heart, who had not lifted his soul into vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. Annie Besant suggests the following practice that can lead to the portal of the temple. And I quote, "Only when a person practices truth in thought, speech, and action will he gradually awaken in him a spiritual vision that penetrates throughout all the screens of illusion, and nothing in nature can mislead him anymore." In order to practice truth in thought, speech, and action, we need to be constantly aware of the fact that in whatever situation, person, or thing we meet, life presents to us only the outer form or garment which hides the inner entity, energy, or meaning. For most of us, the tendency of the mind is to focus on the externalities of things, while the search for truth requires that we not lose ourselves in the outer form and consciously open ourselves to impressions or intuitions about the hidden essence that arises in us from within. Here the training of the mind to listen carefully is required, and never should we regard the external impression as an ultimate truth. Maybe the following statement from Light on the Path can inspire us in this kind of inner listening. It starts with the words, "Listen to the song of life," which can be expressed also as listen to the inner truth of life. Look for it, it says, and listen to it first in your own heart. At first, you may say, it is not there. When I search, I find only discord. Look deeper. If again you are disappointed, pause and look deeper still. The instruction is to look or listen within more and more deeply, without being discouraged when for a long time we glimpse only discord. Are we willing to accept the disharmony or discord we find within ourselves as our true state at the moment? Willingness to accept and investigate the discord within is the only way to move forward toward harmony or inner truth. In a letter to one of his chelas, Master K.H. directs our attention to the goal of the search as follows, and I quote, "If you do not tire of trying, you may discover the noblest fact of all, your true self." In what the Master calls true self or noblest fact of all is what the Master calls true self or the noblest fact of all identical with the song of life? Is this sentence directing us to focus our personal search for truth on the awakening of our consciousness to itself, to its true nature, to the light within it? According to Madame Blavatsky, our true self is a God, about whom she writes in Practical Occultism the following: "The God in us, that is to say, the spirit of love and truth, justice and wisdom, goodness and power, should be our only true permanent love, our only reliance in everything, our only faith, which standing firm as a rock can forever be trusted, our only hope, which will never fail us if all other things perish, and the only object which we must seek to obtain by our patience, waiting contentedly until our evil karma has been exhausted and the Divine Redeemer will reveal to us His presence within our soul." So if you want to find our true self, we have to look deep within, to look deep into our mind, our inner world, Here resides the beliefs and illusions that originates from the ego, the fears, conditioning, and prejudices that prevent us from awakening to our true nature. It is the selfish desires that perpetuate this illusion, and it is revelation of the inner will, the will of the soul, that makes it possible to move toward the true self and enter into the innermost temple. Rabindranath Tagore writes in his book Sadhana on the approach and practice that leads to the entrance gate of the temple of beauty and truth. And I quote, "When a person acquires the knowledge to look at things without asking for pleasure for himself, when he is not a slave to instincts and desires no longer impair his ability to see, the beauty that is inherent in all is revealed to him, and his eyes see beauty everywhere and in everything." And to conclude, here are those of a person who realized in his life this true self, Ramana Maharishi. And I quote, "Know that you are truly an infinite and pure being, the self. You are always the same and only him. Therefore, you can never really be ignorant of the self. Your ignorance is the fruit of your imagination alone. Know that true knowledge does not create a new being for you, but just removes your ignorance. The only way to get free from your suffering is to know yourself and to be the self. How can this goal be unattainable?" May the Holy Ones lead us from the unreal to the real and inspire us to know the self and be the self. Thank you.
Many thanks, dear brother Abraham, for bringing us on a beautiful journey in search for truth. And now, before closing our session, I request our International Secretary, Maria Artama, for some announcements.
For those who are interested, some old issues of the Masonic magazine, The Morning Star, are available with the administration and may be obtained at the nominal price with TPH, Theosophical Publishing House. Then there will be a meeting of all Malayalam-speaking delegates. Malayalam? You know it. Speaking delegates. There will be a meeting immediately after the Indian section convention here in Adyar Theatre. And then, just to remind about our today's program, after the Indian section, after the lunch breaks, there will be 1:30 to 3 p.m. functions at the Social Welfare Center. We will see and listen vocational welfare center children's and social welfare center children's performances and vocational training center, their combined cultural activities. 1:30 p.m. and the buses will go there near the main gate. And then we continue with the public lecture at 5 p.m., which is mentioned in the program, and 7:30, the Blavatsky Bungalow inauguration. Have a good day. The session is closed.